Formula Access, hey, good morning. Today I bring you a guest that rolled out the red carpet for my son and I at the Miami Grand Prix. You guys, Stefano Battiston invited my son and I to have a tour of the paddock. You guys, they rolled out the red carpet. I don't say this to brag, I just say this to kind of open your eyes and open your ears to the amount of effort that Sauber Motorsports, Alfa Romeo, and soon to be Audi is putting into fan engagement to bring the people of their team to this show, into your living room, to your TV, however you ingest the sport as a fan. It's very important to them to connect with you, the audience, the fan, and to call it this evolution of the team. We got to go behind the scenes. We got to go in the garage. We got to go in the pit. We got to go on the pit walk. We got to go just kind of hang out in hospitality and just get to know their communications team, their marketing team, get an idea of how we can work together in the future. And you guys, this is a really, really special episode. Anything that has to do with marketing, communications, commercial. These are areas of the sport that I just have a great admiration for. And this is also a connection from Jan Lefort, who we had on the show earlier in the year. I guess last year is when we actually talked to him. An impressive guy, former manager for Jacques Villeneuve. Just an unbelievable guy. If you haven't listened to it, man, go back and check it out. But he brought Stefano into Sauber Motorsport, and they are definitely cut from the same cloth. So, guys, I appreciate you listening to the show. Pardon the week off. I've got a bunch of episodes locked in with final approval. We've got episodes coming from Ferrari, from Shell, from Mercedes. We've got people coming from all over. We have a young driver coming in from F4 that is making his move into USF as well. So he's coming to the US. His family just moved to Florida. You guys, super excited. Got a lot of exciting things going on. More to come. Keep it up. Appreciate the engagement. I appreciate the comments. I appreciate the messages. Enjoy. Formula Access, welcome. Today we bring a personal guest. Today we have a guest that we have been trying to schedule and put together for probably 6+ months now. We finally got our schedules aligned. We finally got everything ready. Today we bring you Stefano Battiston of Sauber Alfa Romeo, soon to be Audi. Stefano, welcome.
Hi. Well, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here and to talk about the sports and what we love.
So Stefano and I met actually at the Miami Grand Prix, which is why I have it in the background here. Normally I try to pick a race that is, important or instrumental within the team that I'm talking to. Frankly, Stefano, you and Will and your team just rolled out the red carpet for my son and I in Miami. And I am so grateful for that. Like, that was actually a really, really cool experience. And my son still talks about it. He has gone from like quasi interested in Formula One, wants to be a motorsport engineer just in general, to like now his iPhone wallpaper is Formula One. He is on the racing sim, racing in Formula One cars instead of drift cars. And like, it was really impactful. So as a dad, man, I really appreciate what you guys did. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. I hope the screensaver of your son is an Alfa Romeo F1 car. Then we made everything. Then everything worked out how we wanted. No, I mean, this is why we're here for. I think this is sharing the passion together with guys like you, together with fans, is what it's all about in Formula One. This is why this sport is so successful, and we always say that it's the biggest team sport in the world at the end of the day. And I think this is what you only see if you're once on track, and you're able to see all the details and all the work that is put in to these two cars that at the end of the day or on Sunday are racing. But if you see the whole behind the scenes, this is what is really impressive. And yeah, we appreciate it to have you both with us, and even greater that we have a new or a bigger F1 fan now with your son.
But you have one with me too. So
Yeah,
two
this we already knew.
so so I I've had um I've always looked at Alpha kind of like the scrappy B team of Ferrari. And um when the announcements started coming out about, other people trying to acquire the team finally becoming Audi, I got to say, I promise I'm not like fanboying here, because I really actually try to keep a very level interest in the sport. I like all drivers, all teams, the sport. Like, I actually really enjoy the competition and the business end of it. But when the Audi deal was announced, and just kind of having people from Sauber Motorsport on the show, Mark Arnall, Jan Lafort, I have this like really like profound respect for what you guys are doing, and like the long-term objective of the team. So not just like slap a logo on the car, whatever, but it's a very meticulous, thought out, planned, intentional project. It's not anything more than that. And if it is, please don't tell me, because I actually really like the story. But I really, really appreciate what you guys do. And, for me, the brand of Audi is really important. And when that was announced, I reach out to a lot of people. I email a lot of people to come on the show and talk about what they're doing. And actually, when I emailed the CEO of Audi, obviously naively trying to get him on the show, he responded to me, and we actually had a really pleasant conversation over the course of a couple of days. And I think as a fan, or like as somebody that is like embedded in the outside of the sport, I really appreciate that level of approachability. And like, even yourself and Will have been very approachable, very personal. You communicate. I really appreciate that. So what you guys are doing, whether that's all you or just the team in total, like I really appreciate that.
Thank you. Well, I think this is something that makes the sport special. It's a very approachable sport. So to whoever you want to talk to whoever you reach out, you mostly get a response, because at the end of the day, I said that at the beginning, we are all also passionate about the sports, and we just love to talk about what we love to do, and it's great to share these experiences. And what you touched based earlier, it's obviously for us as Sauber Motorsports, it's a great honor to be picked as a strategic partner for Audi to enter the sports from 26 onwards. But still, I don't want to forget to mention that also Alfa Romeo is playing a key role in this development that we did as a team and also as a company. Because when we started with Alfa Romeo, and when Alfa Romeo trusted in us and invested into Sauber and the team, we were at another level. And together with Alfa Romeo, we started this path, this journey, where we came to the point where last year we became sixth. We were able to announce last year, I think it was 35 new partners. We have 50 at the moment, starting from a completely different number of partners. So we got to a point where we are not the B team of Ferrari, but we're an independent team. I also think we're a very much respected team in the paddock as Alfa Romeo, as what we do. Of course, we are maybe smaller. We are based here in Switzerland, in Hinwil, since 30 years, when we raced first time in F1. But the journey we did and all the history we bring with us is what brought Audi to the point to then in the end decide to go with us as a strategic partner and to build this project or their enter into F1 with us. So I think it's not only focusing on the future, which of course as a company is great and as a team is great to have this future and to know where we're going to, but also important to stay in the present and to say thank you to Alfa Romeo and to respect what they did for us and what they're still doing actually, because we're still racing with them, and this is we're all very proud of doing so.
You bring up a really good point about the approachability of the sport. I feel like there is a group of people, I'll call them what you want, look at it as a very hard sport to enter as a fan or as whatever. And my experience has been very far from that. It has been, very welcoming, very open, very authentic. And, even to the level of, I think as an outsider looking in and saying like, hey, if I walk around the paddock or I walk around, the pit lane or I'm inside the garage, you know, I'm around people that, are kind of like separated from the rest of us. And frankly, like the experience that Dominique had with my son, she was just like, look, for a 16-year-old kid, like to have Valtteri and his girlfriend and, Joe, right here, the car's blowing out of the garage. Like that was probably slightly overwhelming for him at the moment, but she was so sweet and just playing with him and joking with him on the comms and like just making him feel comfortable. Like I just, I was looking at that situation, not really as a father, but just like as a customer experience or like a fan experience and engagement. I was really impressed by that. And look, as an entrepreneur, as a CEO, like that's stuff that I always am aware of in any situation or scenario that I'm around. And I got to say, like, as a leader, I was very impressed with your team, like, very, very impressed with the way that you guys handled yourselves and, not just us, but like everyone that was, in our vicinity as well. So, anyway, just to let the
That's
go
no,
ahead.
I mean that's very very nice and great to hear, because I don't know if you've seen, but the claim we have or our credo, our motto that we live as a small team, maybe as well is the get closer campaign that we're running at the moment. And what we mean with get closer is that exactly what you described before. We want to get all our stakeholders, be it fans, media, partners, team members, and so on. We want them to be part of our family, and we want them to experience what we experience on a daily basis, because we know that we can't take this for granted. So maybe we travel from one race to the other. We see it every weekend, but at the same time, we always say in our briefings that let's, as I said, don't take it for granted, because for most of the people coming to the paddock, it's the first time in their lives. So let's make it a memorable one that they will talk about it for years, and we have it in our hands. And at the end of the day, it's a human being, it's a human approach, just letting people enjoy and experience and soak in the whole F1 experience as much as we can, or as much as we can show and as much as we can deliver. Of course, we cannot show everything. Of course, we cannot let sit everybody in an F1 car, but just whatever we can do, let's just let people experience it and really, yeah, have these memorable moments and take it home as your son, as you. And at the end of the day, it's easy, right? It's human beings that want to have fun, that want to experience things, and just share the passion, share the sports, and that's what's all about in Sauber and in this Alfa Romeo F1 team.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So just to let the audience know who you are. Normally I jump right into that, but I wanted to get into how we got connected and just kind of my experience in general, because that actually I think from my social profiles hit pretty hard. I think people were really interested in that. So today, what is your role in particular with Alpha?
I am the head of marketing and communications for the team. So basically, what I do together with my team of at the moment 18 people, we are taking care of the brand. We are taking care of the CI and the guidelines. We are taking care of all the events, hospitalities on and off track. We are taking care of all our partners. So as soon as the contract is signed, they come over into our department and we start activating the partnerships. We're making sure that the partner gets all the entitlements, everything delivered. We also make sure that the communication is working. So we're communicating around the team, around the sporting success, but also about the Sauber group as such. It's not only linked to the F1 team. We also have the esports department within the Marcoms team, which is, as it says, mainly focusing on the F1 competition in esports that we're heavily building up at the moment. So this is, in a nutshell, what we're doing. So everything besides the sporting side is kind of on our in our department, or that's what we're responsible for.
So the marketing aspect and the brand is always like the most interesting part for me. What you guys have done with your driver selection, we talked about this in Miami, is phenomenal. Like you've taken you've taken Valtteri from this very clean cut Mercedes, polished corporate figure, and you've turned him into a personality, which frankly is what a driver should be. And like, just I don't know what happened like during this transition, but like all of a sudden, he just went to this like really marketable guy. And like I've actually really enjoyed following him. I missed him from the Williams days, and he's like he feels like he's back. And I don't know if that's a marketing thing, if you guys were just like, hey man, like here's what you need to do, like just run wild or whatever that is. But even Joe, like I think he connects a wildly valuable market to a team that's about to become, you know, something incredible. And and he does carry that personality of like a young Lewis, where he's a good driver, he's a good personality, he understands fashion. He's not, kind of that awkward kid that enters the sport who's like fully focused on racing, doesn't understand like, hey, I gotta shave or comb my hair or like dress nice. Like this is a fashion sport. Like they get that. I think it's just a really great dynamic that you guys have created that did not exist before you guys came around.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's also a lot of fun for us to work with Valtteri and with Joe, and basically, it's the recipe is pretty simple because what we try to do is we just let them be how they are. So they have their personalities, they have their hobbies, they have their interests, and we just tell them like, look, guys, for us, it's more fun if we can develop things together and if we can bring up campaigns together and if we can develop merchandising together and the brand together than if we impose you how you have to be and how you have to look like and what you have to do on a day by day basis. So it's just simply more fun for the whole marketing and communication department if you have two drivers that have their own character. And I think whenever I talk to older, more experienced business guys, they always or fans, they always tell me, yeah, the good old personalities in the sports, in football, in tennis, in Formula One. This is what is missing in the sports. This is what we wanted, or this is what we want today in the sports. And the easiest thing to do so is just let them be how they are. Of course, they follow the rules. Of course, they go they do what we ask them to do. But at the same time, they come up with lots of ideas, and then we just start brainstorming and developing things. I mean, we never told Valtteri come and show up in a mullet. This was his idea. But what we told him is then that's cool. let's keep playing the story. What can we do to support you here? How can we? And this is why he came up with his own collection for the Australian Grand Prix in Melbourne. And he said, this is the first time I walked into the paddock with a tank top and flip flops. And we just said, like, yeah, it's added value for everybody, right? It's win-win. It's added value for the fans, for the team, for the partners, because the more visibility you get, the more fans that like you, the more the team at the end of the day profits from it. So this is our mentality. This is how we think, or how we believe that the sport should be, that the drivers should be. And until now, it's fun, and it also looks to be successful in that kind of way.
So moving on to one of the most confusing terms to motorsports fans. What is an activation to you? I get it, but like every time I hear that word or I'm around people and that word is mentioned, people kind of like, I don't, what does that mean?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's actually true, because before entering F1, I never heard the word as well. So it's since I'm here, and Jan Lefort, that was also guest in your podcast, was actually the first one telling me, like, yeah, we need to run activations, and I was like, Jan, what are you talking about? What do you mean? So basically, an activation from our side is whenever we do marketing activities, can be driver meet and greets, can be a special merchandising collection, can be a media interview, can be whatever, just wherever marketing and communications is activating together with a partner or running a campaign. This, in our terminology, is called a activation. If it's correct like this in English, proper English, I have no idea, but it's just the terminology we use internally, and we understand each other.
So in theory, if I'm a corporate sponsor, if I am, what is it, Acceleron?
Yeah,
If I'm in that, and I have a hospitality package and a pit walk, the activation is bringing them into hospitality and bringing them to the pit walk. Is that more or less?
yeah. It's maybe the activation would more be if we have a driver meet and greet, or if we do a specific digital content piece together with them, or if we write a case study with them. This would be the activation. The activation could also be an experience in terms of, as you said, a paddock experience together with them, can also be an activation. So if you're a sponsor in F1, you mostly sign a contract in which you have certain rights and entitlements, and activating these rights within Sauber means that's an activation.
Okay. Okay. And you guys are doubling your site, your, call it, your sponsors, your partners within the team. I mean, you're
Yeah,
seeing the growth of the sport commercially on your side of the
me
business.
too. Yeah, we do. I think everybody in Formula One is profiting from the sports as such, that the sports is growing. I think Liberty and F1 is doing a great job there. I mean, also how the sports grows in the US, with the whole Beyond the Visible series. Beyond the Visible, this is ours. Excuse me. With the whole Netflix series, I just made a bit of marketing for ourselves. With the whole Netflix series, obviously, this helps a lot. Still, you need to be competitive, and still you have 10 competitors, or 9 actually, that you compete with, also on the marketing side. So it's not that now the sport is growing and the partners are running, are knocking on your doors and asking to become partner. It's always a competition, so you always need to have a good sales proposal, a good product to offer to the partners, which needs to fit their needs, their values, and also where they see a return on the investment they do on the team. So maybe if 20 years ago a logo on the car was a big thing, today we're talking about 360 degrees activations, including, of course, the logo on the car, or as you see here on my shirt, but also digital activations. So we create lots of content around the team or around the partners, from mini docu series to simple photo shootings. We provide everything. So we're also a little production house, or we're becoming a little production house, where we create tons of content, or gigabytes of content, for our partners and for ourselves. And as well, we're more and more developing products and services together with our partners, because they also want to become an integral part of the team. It's not just we use you as a marketing platform, but they also want to contribute to our success, or they want to learn from us. So we develop, for example, you named Acceleron. So together with Acceleron, we developed a so-called digital leadership workshop, where they come to us, they talk to our engineers, and they bring their management and their customers, to learn or to work out how can they profit and learn from our fast decision-taking process, and how can they analyze data quicker and become faster. So these are all things that we're developing now together with our partners, and that are different to what you may offered to partners 20 years ago. So it's just becoming a big marketing platform, and yeah, it's working well. So as said, we doubled our partners throughout the last year. We're now at 50 partners that we're having, actually, which is a good number for us. And this helps, obviously, the team to grow. This helps the team to develop the car. This helps the team to finance the whole operations, which is not cheap at the end of the day. And sponsorship revenue is one of our key income sources.
That's a very important topic. I think that corporations don't always grab a hold of. I think they think of a sponsorship as a logo on a car, on a t-shirt. They get to sit on the sidelines and watch whatever. But you bring up the point of leadership development. And when you look at business, I always equate business in my world to the military as well as motorsport. And I think that when you look at the world of business, it can oftentimes move very slow. And when you look at motorsport, you're in a world where, like, the blink of an eye is the difference between winning and losing. Meaning, you have to be accountable, you have to make decisions, you have to, work as a unit. And I imagine there's like cultural drama that exists in any place with more than one person. But like, in that fast-paced environment, you kind of have to put that aside for a moment to get
Yeah.
something accomplished. And I think that companies should really look to that, to like develop their leadership teams, to develop, their corporate teams, to be able to move in a world that's very fast paced. And I think that's really important. It's like, it's your diligence, it's your discipline, it's all those things that you all kind of cultivate. But most importantly, like, it's passion. Like, you all have
Yeah,
passion.
it all comes back to the passion point, and sometimes I feel sorry to repeat myself so often and talking about passion.
Oh, you're good.
But I think a part of the passion is it's also we have a common goal, right? So
Yeah.
we all want to have the best performing car on track at the end of the day, because we know millions of people are following us or are watching us, and you can be sure that if you work in Formula One, you have these 2 3 friends that are texting you throughout the race, asking you like, why is this, why did you do this, why did you do that, what is happening here, and so on. But it's good, so you feel responsible, you feel accountable for what's happening on track, and everybody just wants to give the best of himself to, at the end of the day, have the best car or the best performance on track. And here, of course, the engineers and the mechanics are contributing more to it. Also, the people working here in the production than maybe the marketing team, if you look at it from a pure race car perspective or race performance perspective. But also we can contribute it if we have guests like you that then walk out and say like, wow, with Alfa Romeo, this was amazing, this was great, this is a great experience. So we have new fans, people are talking positively about us. This makes us again more attractive on the market. Being more attractive means more partners. More partners means more money that the engineers and the production can use to make the car faster, and so on. So everybody is is focused on the same target, we are also forced to take decisions. We are forced to be quick. We are forced to be agile, because we can't just wait 5 laps and decide if we want to box or not. We have to take the decision quickly. We have to take a decision quickly if we want to change. If we want to change something on the car before the training sessions. We have in between the practice sessions. We don't have much time, so we have to take the decisions. We have to analyze data and take the findings directly out of it. So if you're forced to do it, the human being is impressive in that sense, because then you just do it. And this is what often, we have CEOs from different big corporations as our guests, and this is, I think, what impresses them most. It's really how quick we take decisions, how everybody knows what he's doing, how it's really this choreography of everybody knows what the other one is doing as well, and how clean and neat everything looks. Um, Even though sometimes we know that sometimes maybe things are not working perfectly, but still to the outside world it looks like that. And I think this is a great thing to be inspired. And I have many CEOs that at the end of the day leave or send me an email after and said, I'm so inspired. So for example, one guy, I don't want to name the company now, but
Don't.
one guy last year in Zanford wrote me afterwards. He said, like, so the curfew, I installed this now in my company as well. My guys need some rest. So now we have a curfew from then to then. I was like, yeah, that's great. So you took something home and you applied it to your business. And that's cool. So yeah.
You can tap Will on the shoulder because I can't see him if he's even still in the room. But strategy, the next guest strategy. I think that's, to me, is always the most fascinating part of motorsport in general, is just making that decision, and like you have to live with it, and you can't, once you make that call to box, or you don't and they pass that window, it's over. Like, it's done. You can't go back.
Yeah. And the pressure handling with this is also not easy, as you can imagine. And circumstances change, right? So we were in Monaco. We had a strategy. Another team reacted on our strategy, so we immediately had to come up with a new strategy. Then all of a sudden we had the rain, so the strategist had to change the whole thing again, do the early call, which then helped us to undercut some others. So it's for me, strategy is a very fascinating field of our sports. And if you look at the amount of data they are analyzing, the amount of information they have, the amount of details they consider, it's incredibly complicated and complex. And I have the biggest respect from our whole strategy team. And also, as you said, sometimes you have seconds to take a decision which decides on gaining a position or losing two.
It's a department on the team that actually generates revenue through
Yeah.
points. So I I love that part of the business. But all that aside, love it. Your team is awesome. Frankly, like, just what you guys are doing, just kind of having honestly watched it over the last 8 months, 9 months, as I've kind of been around the team, is really impressive. Even in that short amount of time, it's been really impressive. But more importantly, for yourself, how did you get into motorsports? Like, were you a fan at a young age? Was this a dream of yours? Like, how did this get started?
So this is the moment I can start telling about me on the couch with my grandfather when I was young. So,
Thank you
well,
for
actually, it was the case. Actually, it's true, because my grandfather. I grew up in Switzerland. My parents are Italians. My grandfather is a big Formula One fan. My grandmother still is. She's a big fan of Ferrari. I have to say. Still today, if she calls me, the first question is, "How does Ferrari do?" And I'm like, "Nonna, I work for Alfa Romeo." And she's like, "Yeah, I know, but how's Ferrari doing?" I'm like, "Yeah, okay." So this is where the whole passion started, and obviously this was the time when Ferrari was driving with Michael Schumacher, so very successful. So I just followed the sports, as a fan, as a young fan, and then I lost it a little bit to also be completely honest here. And I'm the classical guy that then with Drive to Survive, I started to follow the sport again and watch it again and to get more interest into it. A part of that, I did my professional career. So I worked many years in the automotive sector. So I worked for Hyundai. Then I was a marketing manager for Switzerland and Austria for Maserati. So very close to Alfa Romeo at the time. And I did 1 year at IWC where I met Jan Lefort.
Okay.
And we had some chats there. I was working in the communications and digital department. He was on the sponsorship side or partnerships. And we had some discussions about F1 and so on and so on. So I went back to Maserati. We kept contact, but not frequently. And then I decided to leave Maserati after 4 years. Then, and yeah, the day I quitted, I actually received a phone call from Jan asking me, "Hey, dude, what are you doing? You want to join the Formula One team?" And I said, like, "Oof, I love sports. I love Formula One. I love marketing. I love sponsorship. Perfect. What do I have to do?" So he said, "Yeah, come tomorrow. We have a talk." So I came to Hinwil to the office, and we talked about an hour, and we just brainstormed about several things we can do, and we just thought the connection is here, is back again. And then he said, "Well, come back in two weeks because you need to meet Frederick Wasser." I was like, "Yeah, no worries, I can do that." So I came here from Zurich, drove all the way to Hinwil, and Jan was like, "Yeah, so we will meet Fred Wasser," but he said he doesn't have too much time. I was like, "Yeah, no worries, all good." So I came to Fred's office, 2 minutes, like, "Who are you? What are you doing? Can you travel?" I said, like, "Yes, I can." He looked at Jan. He said, like, "Jan, you decide." I was like, this was my this was my interview with Fred at that time. So then I had my interviews with the HR, with Jan again, and so on and so on. And then I joined the team. And yeah, since 1.5 years, a bit more, I'm now with the team. It's great fun. As you said, we've been able to build up a great brand. Not only the racing team, but also a great brand behind. We were able to develop lots of things, and it's just fun. So at the end of the day, yes, it was passion that started, and just a passion for sports, sponsorship, marketing that somehow brought me into the sports. And at the end, thanks to Jan to believing in me and hiring me that at that time, 1.5 years ago.
Okay, so I always talk to people, or I guess talk to guests on the show about Formula One being this very intimidating Hollywood like industry to get into, which is like, you know, you move to Europe, you go to Formula One Valley or, Switzerland or wherever, Italy, and, and you hope that you'll have access or you'll get into the team. As kind of an outsider coming in, when you sit down with Frederick, is that intimidating? Is he like a personality or is he just the boss? Like in your eyes in that moment?
Well, I had the pleasure to work over a year with Fred, and Fred is a great human being. I mean, yes, he has a lot of charisma. Like, he's the one guy that when he enters a room, he's like, you feel it.
Yeah.
But a very down to earth, very humble, very funny guy. To be honest, but when I first walked into his office, I mean, it was Frederick Wasser. It was like the team principal of the Alfa Romeo F1 team at the time, and yes, it was. It was a special moment because you're a bit nervous, of course, because you see him the first time, and then he was talking like after 5 minutes, 7 minutes, the interview was over, and you think like, oh, maybe he just didn't like me, or maybe. But he's the type of guy, he trusts you, he trusts what you do, he trusts his management team. So he trusted Jan as at that time commercial director to that if he hires me, he believes I'm a good guy, and this is what was the good or this was great to work with Fred with because you really felt the support and you felt the trust to develop things and to come up with ideas and to to construct and to create something. And he really, I mean, he always wanted to be involved, obviously, but he's a great leader, I have to say.
Yeah, no, I see that. He's, obviously he's burst onto the scene with Ferrari. Um, but I get that, and just stories that I've heard from people that have been around the sport for a while. So going to the marketing, comms, commercial side of the business, like what sort of schooling prepares you for this part of the team?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't want to say passion again. um, um, well, there are different. We have different kind of roles within the team. Obviously, we have brand designers that are more on the design side. We have communication specialists, so really on the PR side. We have sponsorship experts. We have sales. We have event. We run a big event every second week if you want. So we have also event specialists. So there are different ways and different schools to get into F1. I think some values that you need to have is you really need to be flexible, you need to be agile, you need to be fast thinking. Things can change in a minute. You need to have a good or you need to have the love for the detail, because especially also in marketing, like the details matter. That, like, this is where you make the difference, or where you can make the difference. So basically, when we're doing job interviews, we're not even looking too much into the CV in terms of work experience that somebody has. It's more about the attitude. It's more about what character they have. Are they, I mean, you can learn a lot, right? I mean, whatever, if you have the passion for something, you can learn things. And let's be honest, marketing sometimes is not rocket science, but it's also just applying things. So you can learn a lot, but what you can't learn is the attitude you have. So you're part of a sports team, so you need to have this attitude that you want to win every race, or that you want to grow, that you want to become bigger, that you want to go the extra mile to become better and to make the team better. We need people that want to work for that common goal of being, or of delivering performance. And this is what we're mainly looking into. It's less about the education. Of course, it's important that you did your professional career or that you have a background, but our team is quite young. So I'd say on average, we're 29, 30 years old, all young, hungry, that want to achieve something. So it's also, yeah, this is what we're looking into. It's sometimes less the studies you did, because at the end of the day, in the studies you learn how to define a concept and run a project and then finalize the project. This is something you learn during your studies. But then in F1, everything is so quick, so you need to be, as said, creative, agile, flexible, and just having this inner hunger to become the best team in the world. That's what we were, or that's what we want to become at one day.
You bring up a spot on point. Well, actually, two. First off, as a business leader and somebody that hires all the time, I honestly like don't look at CVs or resumes. Like I just, are you in the industry? Like, do you know the terminology? But besides that, it's about somebody's integrity, character, personality, their attention to detail and whatnot. But Alpha did something, Sauber did something like earlier this year that, as a marketing person myself, our family has a marketing agency, and so like these details catch my eye like immediately. You guys redid all of your headshots for all of your employees on LinkedIn, and like, you know, how many people take their LinkedIn picture at a hotel bathroom mirror with their phone and like the flash going off in half of their picture? You guys did professional headshots that were, in essence branded. That was a really nice touch to the brand that you are. And I think that, like, when you mention details matter, those types of details matter. And like people pick up on that, and it is the thing that catches the eye, because obviously marketing, that's the goal. That's the objective, is to catch eyes. And so, you guys have done that really well. I've noticed it. So,
Thank you.
in your illustrious career of motorsport, what what has been your pinch me moment? Like when you just kind of sat back and said like, "Wow, I I can't even believe that I'm here."
Wow. I mean, first of all, to your point regarding the portrays and stuff, I believe we can't claim ourselves to be the pinnacle of motorsports when it comes to technology, when it comes to innovation, and then in marketing. I mean, we want to be the same in marketing. We want to be the pinnacle of marketing as well. And these details, of course, we're not doing everything perfect. Of course, we do mistakes. I think it's also important to do mistakes, to learn from them, and to try things which sometimes work out very well and sometimes they don't. But that's how you grow and learn. But at the end of the day, I think these details matter to us, to our partners, and this is why you work together with us. To your second point regarding the pinch me moments, um, wow, I think I have a lot. I have many. The most recent one was this Monday, last Monday, when we were featured in the Apple keynote, where they presented the new Vision Pro, and our car was featured in, together with our partner Jigspace, who together with Apple developed this virtual and augmented, or this mixed reality asset, and we knew we were part of the project, and we knew that there is a possibility that we may be featured. And if you then look at the Apple keynote, and you receive messages from all over the world saying like, "I saw your car in the Apple keynote. Wow!" I mean, this is a moment when you say like, "Wow, that's great." I mean, this is from a marketing. I mean, you're a marketeer as well, but from a marketing perspective, to be in that keynote is maybe something that is really really nice, and that is kind of pinch me moment in my life, and that I will for sure tell my kids one day. And then others are just, if you we were in Australia. This was also a very nice experience. In Australia, the F1 did for the first time in the fan forum. They hosted some comms people to be part of the panel there. So normally it's the place where the team principals and the drivers go. So they hosted some comms people. So it was the three of us, and I felt like, yeah, who of the fans wants to talk or listen to us, like the marketing and comms people? I mean, we're not interesting at all. And it was impressive to see how many fans, and how it was just a nice moment to be on that stage and talk about the experiences we have and how we work with the drivers and what we do on our daily lives, and just having this amount of people in front of you with this sprinkle in the eyes looking at you, and you're just like, wow, it's amazing to see the passion of the people. And this gives you then even more motivation to say like, yeah, we need to keep on doing what we're doing. And it's just great to see all this passion from this audience. So, and I think I could tell you another 20 pinch me moments where it's just, I mean, even Miami. If you think of Miami, you sit there at the table with people that won an Oscar, with people that have a successful corporation or a successful business running. You're able to talk to them, to learn from them, to exchange with them. So we're really privileged. I believe if you work in Formula One, you're really privileged in terms of the people you get to know, the places you visit, the cultures you explore and you experience. Um, First time Brazil, after the when this was the race when Lewis went crazy and just overtook I don't know how many cars and won the race, and everybody was cheering at him, and there was this whole everybody, and you saw just the the pure joy in the eyes of the fans there, in Interlagos. Or if you go to Mexico and you stand in front of the podium with your partners, and then they open up the stadium and you just see the mass of people, the amount of people running to you, having a party, celebrating the sport, celebrating life. And these are all moments that I think I will never forget.
Just to go back to I don't think anybody wants to hear about comms people. Fun fact, Jan Laforte's episode is the most viewed podcast episode that I have, and then the head of brand and marketing for Aston Martin is the highest viewed YouTube that I have. So just so you're aware, you guys are like the superstars of Formula Access. So anytime you guys want to see those numbers, like that's that's where the audience generally gravitates to, is, how does all this stuff work? And you guys are like in the background, and you never really hear in the media, in the news, like how all this stuff works. So people are really fascinated by that.
Yeah, that's good. That's like a referee in the sport, right? The less they talk about us, the better we do our jobs.
So next question that I always ask is, what didn't you expect from Formula One? Like, what surprised you?
Oh, that's a difficult question to answer, like right on spot. What did surprise me? What really surprised me is the team size, like the logistic behind an F1 team. Um, for me, really, F1 is the biggest team sports in the world. We here in Hindwil are 550 people contributing to this success or to the performance of the car. And if you see that really everybody has impact onto it, this is something that you may not see if you're just following it on TV, because then you're mainly focused on the pit wall and the cars as a fan. But then if you're once here and you see the enthusiasm and the attention to detail and how committed everybody is here in production, or also in the racing team, and supporting the race teams on track. If you see that, this was something that really surprised me, as I wasn't expecting it to be that big, and that many people are working in it. And then, of course, the whole logistics aspect. I was in last year in Miami. Somebody told me, as they just organized the Super Bowl, I think some years ago, they said, like, what you guys are doing is bigger than Super Bowl. And I said, like, yeah, we do this every second week. And he was like, that's nuts. I was like, yeah, but this is what we do. And the logistics behind this is impressive, how it works, and that everything has to be on the second, on the minute, on the second ready. That also how we work in terms of schedules. And this is something that surprised me, kind of, because I was not expecting like this size of a team, or of teamwork at the end of the day.
Look, I mean, in 2020, we all know what happened. The fact that F1 was basically slowed down for 3 or 4 months is insanity. Like, you couldn't get like you couldn't get a fast food restaurant open. But Formula One could navigate the globe and continue their sport, albeit different, but just the innovation, the logistics, the passion to like make that happen is really impressive, because it wasn't just Liberty or the sport. It was each team. It was, you guys, executing on those goals, those, things that needed to be done for that. It's really impressive. I think business owners and businesses in general should connect with you guys for partnerships and sponsorships, just to have a lever in their business to understand how you react to something that you can't plan for, and then do it before anyone else in the world is able to figure out what's going on. Like, by the time everybody kind of was like, okay, I think I got it, you guys are racing cars, like business as usual, kind of. And
Yeah,
I think that that's like, to me, that has always been the fascination with Formula One. Just the entrepreneurial is like, I've got to get around this to like consume it in order to execute my own things on the side. And that's a really unique kind of thing that you picked up on. And I appreciate that. What's been your biggest challenge, or like like a lesson that you've learned in a moment that you can't forget?
Well, this
This
is
is how I
tougher
prove to
than my.
fans that we're
This is
not
tough. This
scripted
is
here.
Yeah. This is tougher than my job interview with Fred Wasser.
Yes.
Yeah. No, just kidding. Well, what's the biggest challenge? I think the biggest challenge is on a weekly basis, or is the amount of activities, the amount of activities we have to run on a weekly basis. I think we did once the sum for last year. We did over 4,500 marketing activities in a year, and obviously to organize them, to execute them, to keep the level of quality high, to make sure everybody is happy, and also to keep the work life balance, if you want to call it work life balance in Formula One, but to keep that somehow in a normal ratio. I think this is a big challenge that we face every day. So the amount of activities we have, or we do run, and just to keep up the level constantly and not going down, or not having these downs, where we just come to a point where we don't know what to do, because you always have to anticipate. And sometimes, as I mean, 3 weeks ago, Imola, from 1 hour to the other, we couldn't go there, so you need to adapt again. So I think this is the daily challenge. The daily challenge we do have, here in Formula One, or also in our team.
Well, you guys manage it well. What
Thank you.
what's next for Sauber? Like what's the future of Sauber? What's on your agenda?
Currently we're enjoying and celebrating this last year together with Alfa Romeo. As said in the beginning, I think we can be very thankful to Alfa Romeo, and be proud of the journey we did together. This is the short-term future. Then mid-term, of course, we will run a team for the next 2 years, which has to which will be competitive, on the grid. Um, Without Alfa Romeo, back as a Sauber team, which will be challenging from a commercial side if you change your whole identity, basically, because you go away from Alfa Romeo and you change again. And on the long term, we all know that this Audi Works team project is coming closer and closer, and it's 2.5 years to go, which sounds like a long time on one side. On the other side, you have to build up the whole team. You have to build up also infrastructure, and you have to build up, also from a marketing perspective, you have to do lots of work, um, already in the next 2.5 years to be ready, on day one. So this is how the future looks like. I think the future looks brighter, than ever, maybe for Sauber, knowing where we're going, knowing what the project is for the future, having this certainty that we're becoming this works team. It also comes with a certain expectation, so we know that we need to deliver, until then, and from then onwards as well, because this is why Audi choose us as a strategic partner, because they believe and trust in us, in our team, in our people, and the responsibility we have is big. But this is the challenges we live for, and this is why we are looking very much forward to this short, mid, and long term future.
Well, as you're developing the marketing end of it, please keep that Audi livery in the DNA. The black and red, perfect. The Audi livery, perfect. Like just stay the course. Don't.
I will forward this feedback to the Audi design, guys who designed the Audi livery or the Audi concept car livery. I think it looks beautiful.
Yeah.
But I'm also very proud on the car we developed this year for Alfa Romeo, together with the Centro Stile. As also this one is for me obviously the most beautiful car on the grid that we have. And I think we here at Sauber are known for beautiful cars. So you can be assured that the car will look great.
Just let him know that since you compared me to Frederick, just let him know that Frederick V2 made the suggestion. I'm gonna hang on to that. You already said it. I'm never gonna let that go.
That's good.
I'm gonna leave it at that. Stefano, seriously, thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for telling us about, your group, your team, just your origin story. It's really, really encouraging to young people to hear, that it is just a business like anything else. There's obviously check boxes that are wildly different than most industries, like passion, detail, um, execution, speed is always very, very important to that. But it's really, really encouraging, and the private messages that I get after shows like this are really encouraging to me to keep going, because people do appreciate that and they do communicate that outwardly. That it's encouraged them, it's given them hope to pursue a dream that they thought was once unattainable. And you guys, people like you, provide hope to young people, and it's a huge passion of mine. So appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, I think it's not only in Formula One where you have to have passion for what you do and
Yeah.
have this love for attention to the detail and be agile and flexible. I think these are values you can use for wherever you work. Before entering F1, I did 2 months. I had 2 months of time, so I worked as a waiter at a friend's restaurant, and I can tell you that it was a great experience for me. And even there, if you do it with passion, if you do it with this agility and just smiling every day, it makes also this, and you can also have a lot of fun doing another job than being in F1. So at the end of the day, I think, and this is the word we maybe used most the last hour, but it's all around this topic of passion, and just follow your dreams and do what you like and do what's fun to do. Of course, not everybody will be able to work in F1, as not everybody is able to have his own business, or not everybody is having its own podcast. But as long as you do it with passion and have this commitment and enthusiasm for what you do, you will have fun and you will become successful one day. So this is what I believe in, and I think this is what the young generation out there shall believe in too.
If I could drop this mic, or you had a mic to drop, you just leave it at that. That's so I quick story before we end this, but I always had this fascination as a young person about leaders. Like, you as a young person, as a naive person, you get around a business owner, a leader, a big title, a big personality, and it's almost like you're not seen. And then, like, there's a moment in your life where all of a sudden you are seen. And I attribute that personally to being around a bunch of leaders and just being one myself. Is the moment that a leader or a personality witnesses passion, it's almost intoxicating to them, because you're in reality, you're normally around a lot of very not passionate people. And when you're around a passionate person, it shows, and it's very, very visible and noticeable. And you almost, like, I think me naturally as a leader, when I see passion, my mind immediately and instinctively goes, I need this person in my company, and I don't, like, where do they go? It's not even like, well, I just want to strike up a conversation with you. It's immediately like, where can I place them in my company? And you nailed it. You said, just like, you see that passion, and Frederick saw you, albeit for 2 minutes, and it was like, sure, cool, Jan, whatever you want him, take him. Like, find a place for him in my organization. So seriously, this has been a fun conversation, Stefano. I appreciate all that you've done. I appreciate the communication. I appreciate just kind of the offline communications that we have too. Like, I think for me, that's always the most important part, to be like, hey, great race. Hey, saw this thing. I'm really impressed with that. Whatever it is, or if I just have a dumb question, I can ask it, and you guys respond.
Always.
So I appreciate it. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much, Ryan.